like a buoy without a feather. You know I'm lost without your love.
So this dish is catfish with cornbread puree and butterbean chow chow. A lot of my favorite things in the whole entire world. If you could read my hat, you would know that cornbread is one of my favorite things in the universe. It reads, "Make cornbread, not war," which I believe is an amazing way to live your life. Cornbread is something that you grow up eating your whole entire life. And it's a rite of passage when your grandmother teaches you her way to make cornbread. And again, a source of debate. Some people put flour in there, some people put sugar in theirs. I'm a purist, just like my grandmother was. No flour, no sugar. Wow, we make a lot of cornbread at Husk. A lot of cornbread, and I eat a lot of cornbread at Husk. I want some right now, actually. So I thought that's a little too humble for the table at Husk, so how can I get it on the plate in a cool way? So I decided to make a puree of those two things, and that's what that recipe is. If you really want, I could bore you with the blender by putting it in there and pureeing it, but I'd rather not. Anybody care? All right. So basically, you heat the cream, put it in there, and then you add the buttermilk at the end. Again, that adds that acid and that flavor. That's absolutely delicious. And the cream cheese adds the acidity. And you puree it. It's nice and smooth. I'm going to cook this catfish. Catfish is a really cool fish that we have in the South. A lot of crazy people actually catch it with their hands. They go under the. Have you guys seen this on TV? I know a lot of those guys. If you ever come to Charleston, we can go. It's called noodling. We can do that if you like. But this dish is very, very simple. It's the cornbread puree. And what's neat about it is once it's pureed, it's like grits or polenta. But it has that flavor of baked cornbread that I love. I think it's fantastic. And we cook it, and we serve it with chow chow. Do you guys have anything like chow chow here? It's like cabbage and peppers and onions, and they're kind of pickled. It's a condiment. This one, you'll see the recipe. We have onions, almost always, cabbage, green tomatoes, bell peppers, and then you put your spices in. You bring that to a boil, and then you preserve it, and then you allow that to sit in the basement for a couple months, and all year long you have this beautiful chow chow that tastes absolutely delicious. And so here I wanted to use butter beans. I found out there's no butter beans in Australia, which is fine. It doesn't have to be a butter bean. It can be any bean. It can be fresh or dried. Luckily, I brought some of these beautiful peas with me. These came from West Africa into the Low Country. It's a dried pea. It's called a red pea. We cook those. You'll see you bring this up to a boil. I love that this thing has a rocket booster setting. So catfish is one of those things that a lot of people think they don't like because there's a lot of really bad farm catfish out there. But I actually love catfish because there's some great purveyors out there that are making beautiful, beautiful catfish. And I think a lot of people have the wrong idea about farm-raised fish. They think that it's never good. A lot of times it's not because people aren't paying attention to the feed. But farm-raised fish is very important for us to embrace once we find a good producer, because we all know that we have a very serious problem with overfishing in the world. And farm-raised fish allows us to give those fish in our waterways a break. You know where it came from? Yeah. Such a cool fish. I love it. Flip it over, add some time. I'll let it sear for just a second, sometimes depending on the thickness of the fish. Lift it up, throw the thyme down, and this becomes a bed that the fish sits on, keeps it from the direct heat of the pan. I'll also flavoring it, a little bit of lemon, dollop of butter, and then we tilt and baste. This is like therapy for a chef. Take a piece of meat or a piece of fish and just kind of focus on nothing but drowning it in delicious butter. And I like it this thick because it's more like cornbread when you eat it in the texture, but you can really make it as thin, or you can make it as thin as the polenta that you just ate with the shrimp and grits if you like. It's up to you. So I take some of that chow that is in the pot there and mix it with some of the cooked peas. And these peas are one of my favorites. They're so earthy and delicious. Those are the ones that Glenn was speaking of earlier. Brighten it up with some fresh herbs. And what I like about chow is, and especially a chow like this, is you've got your sweet, you got your salty, you got your earthy, you got your sour, you got all those wonderful things. All in one little condiment. Plus, when you do it with peas like that, peas can often be like, so you've already got your vegetable or your starch. Everybody ever get their catfish? Still going?
You know I need your love, just like a bird without a feather. You know I'm lost without your love.